The city of Wiley is known for its championship high school football team, certainly not for its murders.
Le 13 juin 1980, dans la petite ville de Wiley, en plein Texas, Betty Gore est retrouvée morte dans sa buanderie, tuée à la hache, 41 coups de hache pour être précis. La meurtrière, Candy Montgomery, était un pilier de la communauté très chrétienne de cette petite ville texane. Elle est arrêtée quelques jours plus tard. Un fait divers un poil sordide qui défraya la chronique de l'époque et depuis ne cesse de fasciner l'Amérique et d'inspirer Hollywood. Déjà 3 fictions racontent l'affaire.
Betty! Betty?
Betty's dead.
La dernière en date, Love and Death, mini-série de 7 épisodes, démarre le 30 novembre sur CANAL+. Elle est écrite par David Kelly, showrunner mythique, auteur récemment de Big Little Lies, et interprétée par une fantastique Elizabeth Olsen en tueuse de banlieue. Pourquoi cette histoire fascine autant plus de 40 ans après les faits? Nous avons posé la question à Leslie Linklater, la réalisatrice de Love and Death.
Love and Death, I think, is an American tragedy. And it is based on 2 articles from Texas Monthly and a nonfiction book. And it really looks at women primarily, but men as well, in 1978 to 1980, who on the surface have it all. It's a bucolic world. They got married at 20. They had 2 kids. They went to the suburbs. They have a community built around the church. It's a lovely life. Then why is it that these women feel like there is a hole in their heart and soul and psyche that's a mile wide without the skills to know how to fill it?
Comme toujours avec David Kelly, la série dépasse donc largement son sujet. Love and Death passe vite au-delà du simple true crime pour devenir une étude de mœurs d'une époque et de ses personnages, 2 couples pivots d'une communauté, ainsi que du drame inextricable qui se noue entre eux.
It's a true story about these 2 couples and how these little missteps along the way lead to this incredibly devastating event.
They say she was murdered with an axe. An axe.
Au centre de tout, il y a bien entendu Candy Montgomery. Sous ses dehors de parfaite femme au foyer de banlieue texane de la fin des années 70, se cache une personnalité bien plus complexe, déchirée entre l'être et le paraître. Un personnage merveilleux pour une actrice prête à en étudier ses multiples facettes, comme l'a fait Elizabeth Olsen, mais sans jamais aller voir la vraie Candy, pourtant toujours des nôtres aujourd'hui.
Definitely didn't get in touch with her. She never participated in any interview post the trial. She participated, however, in this book called Evidence of Love. That was a big resource for David, for Leslie, for all of us as the actors. And there's so much detail in this book from childhood stories, journal entries, letters that were written between her and her husband. And it became... It almost like becomes a cheat sheet as an actor. When you're building a character and about to start a job, you have all of this material to go off of as a resource so that you're not just kind of left to your own devices and imagination and hints within a script to formulate character choices. We actually had this cheat sheet to go off of, so it's actually incredibly helpful to have had that book. And then it becomes your own. And it becomes a thing of, the show becomes its own living, breathing thing. Not trying to be beholden to these facts that are in this book.
Elizabeth Olsen s'est donc appropriée Candy Montgomery et pas seulement dans sa façon d'être. Elle a parfaitement compris ce qui a poussé la jeune mère de famille à aller aussi loin à l'époque.
I think Candy is a woman who has a lot of aspirations. I think she is someone who wants to accomplish a lot with the time she has, and I think she cares a lot about the opinions of others and what she puts out in the world. And I think those are driving forces in her life. I think she follows a rule book that is dictated by where she grew up and the time she grew up. And I think she is a doer and someone who tries to make the most out of many situations.
Parce qu'elle a autant travaillé sur son personnage, aussi bien sur son paraître que sur ses faux-semblants, Olsen est juste impeccable dans son rôle de femme au foyer, souvent désespérée, mais jamais de manière évidente.
She is extraordinary. And Lizzie is, besides being a wonderful human being, she has the ability through her eyes to take you deep inside and to let you understand something about the human condition. And that is incredible because Candy is a very complicated, layered character who does something horrifying. And the fact is, I think you still have some kind of empathy for this character, and I think that's because of how Lizzie portrays her.
I saw that. What was that? You two just looked at each other like you got a big secret.
Empathie confirmée. La série nous présente des personnages qui de prime abord ne devraient pas nous toucher autant. Nous devrions les regarder de loin sans ressentir autre chose que de la curiosité pour eux, et pourtant, ils sont empreints d'une étrange et émouvante humanité renforcée par une vision décalée de leur comportement.
A lot of the facts of the story have a certain sense of humor about it. And these are things we did not create.
I'm very attracted to you.
Oh.
Would you be interested in having an affair?
The fact is, when Candy went to Alan and said, "Do you want to have an affair?" they ended up talking about it for months before they actually had an affair. Like, you couldn't make that up. I mean, it would be crazy to make that up. And then they did get together and eat lasagna and make a list of do's and don'ts about how to do this affair so no one would get hurt.
Des personnages du coup attachants parce qu'ils ont aussi du mal à se fondre dans leur époque. Une évidence soulignée par Jesse Plemons qui joue l'amant de Candy.
Everyone has a part that they play, you know, outside their own homes, and so yeah, and especially in a time when you know, therapy and mental health was not something that people really talked about or gave a chance or even knew was an option.
Man, they gotta go to their jobs. We just stay home and God, that's supposed to be enough.
La fin des années 70 est une époque clé en Amérique, celle de la fin des certitudes. Une période plus que déstabilisante pour la middle class américaine, cette bourgeoisie de banlieue qui se retrouve bousculée dans ses principes moraux. Celle-là même qui élira Reagan haut la main en 1980 pour rétablir l'ordre moral, mais ne pourra plus nier ses propres choix moraux. Ainsi, quand Candy décide de prendre un amant, ce n'est presque plus un choix moral, selon son interprète.
I wouldn't know if I would make a judgment on her morals with having an affair. I feel like that is something that is incredibly human, that is a tale as old as time. And it's about loneliness and trying to find fulfillment where other things are lacking. I do think she makes very morally questionable decisions in regards to the experience of the tragic murder event that happens and the choices she makes afterwards. And I think that's what makes people come back to the story and intrigued and confused by it, because it doesn't seem to all line up. And so our job is to humanize every single element to this that led up to this tragedy.
Chopped and chopped and chopped.
I didn't do it.
I think you did.
You're wrong.
Pour être réussie, une série True Crime doit aller au-delà du crime, elle doit servir de révélateur de la société du milieu qui abrite le crime. Love and Death le fait à merveille. La série vous permet une plongée dans les fascinantes fêlures d'un certain rêve américain dont le désir d'aboutissement mène à la folie et au meurtre. Mais sans en faire des tonnes, Love and Death suit avant tout les méandres de cet étrange fait divers.
I think we followed the facts of the story. Again, there are many things, you know, again, this horrible crime, we only have one point of view. We have Candy's point of view because Betty, very sadly, didn't make it out of that laundry room. So we see that only from one point of view, but I felt like what we wanted to do is to show multiple points of view of the world we're in and to get a real picture of this world and what's beautiful on the surface and, you know, the beautiful white picket fence that has paint peeling off of it, or the piece of china, but it's got a crack in it. So it looks at all of that. Hopefully the good and the bad.
C'est à cette plongée derrière le rideau d'une certaine Amérique que Love and Death vous invite. Un regard tout aussi bienveillant que sans pitié, qui ne fait de cadeau à personne et nous laisse avec autant de questions que de réponses sur le comportement de la fascinante Candy Montgomery, de la série très haut de gamme que vous pourrez découvrir dès le 30 novembre sur CANAL+.
What's gonna happen?
There will just be a little trial.
The murder trial of Texas housewife Candy Montgomery.
And they will present evidence. And then the jury will find that I'm innocent. And we can all go back to being a normal family. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.